Here is our AI sparring bot by the Investor Circle. This bot will teach you how to negotiate, how to run numbers and underwrite, a little bit of everything, and you'll get a grading at the end. This is the first of the first. This does not exist anywhere else. Let's get starting. Again, this is Reeboks.com for the Investor Circle. Talk with. We're going to select who we want to talk with. Here, I'll pick an agent. Level. Let's go hard. Property type. Let's do a multifamily 2 to 4 units. Pain points, we'll do no pain points. But as you see, you can pick anything you like. You can build a custom scenario or a random. Here, we'll build a random scenario. Let's dive. Let's do it.
Good afternoon. This is Abby Morgan from Landmark Realty. So are you calling about buying or selling?
Hi, Abby. How are you? My name is Jason. I'm calling about a property that you have listed, 123 Main Street. How you doing today?
Hi, Jason. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. So you're interested in 123 Main Street. What kind of details can I help you with?
So I do see that you're asking 310,000. From what I see, it looks like it needs about 35 to 40-ish thousand dollars in renovation. Now, my ARV for the comps is going to be around 350, 360,000. Do you agree with that?
So the asking price is indeed 310,000, and from what we've estimated, the rehab is around 42,000. Now, the after repair value we've calculated is closer to 360,000. If you're seeing something around that range, we're probably aligned on the numbers. Are you comfortable with that rehab estimate, or are you planning on doing a detailed inspection to confirm it?
Well, I'll definitely get a detailed inspection going after we sign a contract on this. I don't live local, so I'd have to have my team look. But from what I see, though, this is a triplex. There's 3 units. The rental rate's going to be about $1,300. That's fair market value. So I'm looking about $3,900 in rental income coming in. I can expect about 40% in expenses, which is going to be about $1,250 a month. Now, if I do pay the asking price of 310, getting a DSCR loan, it's going to be out of the question, especially at this price with needing about 40, 50,000 in renovation and the ARV being 360,000. So with that being said, a loan is out. I can come in with cash on the property, but I definitely would need the price to be better. So this is where I stand and this is where my offer is. I'd like to make you 2 offers. The first offer, I base it on the ARV times a multiplication, which would be 75%. And then I subtract the renovation from it. I need there to be a little equity built into the property since I am buying it and I do have to put work into the property. So with that being said, I'm going to need to put in an offer for about $235,000. Remember, that is cash, 7-day due diligence period, including inspection with a 3-day close. 10 days, this property is out. Can we make that happen?
I appreciate the straightforward offer, but at $235,000, that's quite a bit below the asking price. We've had interest from multiple parties, so I need to be firm here. The numbers we've got show a strong potential as a rental, especially with that income. If you're coming in cash, that's definitely appealing, but I'm gonna need a more competitive offer to bring to the table. Can you come up a bit, or are you locked in at that number?
Yeah, at cash, I'm pretty much locked in there. I mean, again, the price that you're asking with the ARV, I could buy the property completely turnkey and I'm still paying above fair market value. So that wouldn't work out. But I can come up on the price if you're willing to accept terms, which is seller financing. Are you familiar with this?
I'm definitely familiar with seller financing. We can potentially work something out there, but I have to be clear on the terms. Typically, we'd need at least 25% down and an interest rate in the 7 to 8% range. That's the kind of structure I'd be looking at to make this work. If you're open to those terms, I can definitely take a look at what numbers make sense for both of us. Where would you be looking to land if we did seller financing?
Okay, so if we did seller financing, I'm definitely could be more competitive. Is there any debt on this property? Is there a mortgage of any sort, or does the seller own this outright? From what I think, there's still debt.
There is still some existing debt on the property, so that's something we have to factor in with any seller financing arrangement. With that in mind, if you're more competitive on price and the terms make sense for the seller to cover that existing debt, we could potentially find common ground.
Okay, how much
What
debt is left on this property? So you're asking 310, but what do they owe to the bank?
I don't have the exact payoff amount on the mortgage right now, but typically we'd confirm that during the negotiation process.
Okay, so from what I
It's
see on my end, the debt that's owed is 100,000. So they're looking to make about 210 on this. If they're willing to do seller finance, I can come up to 255,000. I would have to do 10% down, but I can be competitive on the interest at a 5% interest rate. I'm not looking for a 30-year loan. I want an 8-year balloon, and I can do that at a 30-year amortization. Can we make this work?
I appreciate you laying that out. At 10% down and a 5% interest rate, that's on the lower side for what we'd normally consider. With the balloon at 8 years, though, there's a bit of flexibility there. I have to run this by the seller, but if we're talking $255,000 with that structure, it's something I can present. The terms might need a bit of tweaking, especially with the down payment and interest rate. Are you flexible at all on those figures if we come back with a counter?
I'm flexible, but slightly. If the property didn't need a renovation, I can go to the 15% down where you want to be. But since it needs 40, 50,000 in renovation, I have to be around 10%. Otherwise, the deal just doesn't make sense for me. But I am willing to come up to 260,000, which is 500,000 more if we can keep the interest at 5%, and I'll do a 12% down payment.
Got it. So you're willing to move up to $260,000 with a 12% down payment and keeping the interest at 5%. That's a bit more competitive. The renovation costs are definitely a factor, so I understand where you're coming from. Let me run these terms by the seller
All right,
and
everybody,
see if
we cut the conversation a little bit short so we can get the grading. We click for the grading. Now we're going to go over to history. We're going to leave this page. Everything that you do is going to be recorded and saved. So my conversation was short, a little bit messy, to the point in certain parts, but here it is. These are all the different grades that we've gotten as we've gone on, as we've tested the system. It is up and going, ready to go. If you want to see your conversation right over here, you can save your conversation. Now, if I want to send it or share it, I can do that right here. If I want to get the grading directly from, here's the grading from the AI bot, a 47 out of 100, which is fair. So it shows me right over here, negotiation and offer crafting, a 6 out of 10. Strengths and weaknesses, underwriting and financial accuracy, 7 of 10. Emotional intelligence and active listening, right? I cut her off a few times. I said a couple times, maybe once or twice, but I got a good grade on that. Confidence and communication clarity. Over at the very bottom, it'll show your top strengths, your areas for improvements, the key takeaways, and the next steps on what you should do. The deal outcome was not reached, of course, because we cut it short, and difficulty recommendation, try an easier level. You can get all of this at Reebox.com, Reibox.com. This is through the Investors Circle. Check us out. We are constantly improving, adding, and upgrading our software.